you guys? Your girl G here. Welcome back to my channel. Appreciate you for tuning in. Look, long story short, we're getting into Real Housewives of Atlanta, y'all. Real Housewives of Atlanta. Firstly, I just want to apologize about Beverly Hills. If y'all saw my community page, y'all, I promise I did the video. I went to download it, but as I was clearing out my storage, I accidentally clicked the Beverly Hills Housewives recording as well. So it literally just stopped the whole uploading process because I deleted the original recording. And it was like a 30-minute video. And I was like, dang, and I was already behind. And I was just like, I mentally, I just couldn't do it, y'all. So I apologize. But I'm going to make sure this time not to delete the original recording so y'all can get, Real Housewives of Atlanta. Okay. And then, yeah, let's go ahead and get it to it. We got Brittany, y'all. And y'all, I'm going to say that Miss Angela Oakley, I think, is a dark horse. I think she may be the dark horse in this situation. We always, when we get new housewives or things like that, there's always the immediate attraction, like Shamea, Real Housewives of New York. The immediate attraction was Jetta Lion, but then like the dark horse was Jessel. And I feel like this season the dark horse may be Angela Oakley. Okay. And then we also got their tagline. She said, shoot, if you want to find the shade, look for the oak. I was like, okay. And she a tall bitch too. All right. She's giving stallion. All right. Speaking of stallion, I'm on my natural stallion today, for Erykah Badu. Okay. I was wearing my beanie a little bit too much. And that's cotton. So it's soaking up all the moisture up out my hair. And I need moisture to grow my length back, because your girl's at Bobbiana. Okay, your girl's at Bobbiana. So I'm starting all over. And so I was like, I don't want to be out here looking like Miss Cleo, but for my good sis Erykah Badu, I got me a satin scarf, and it is what it is. Okay, speaking of Erykah Badu, y'all, she is dropping a new album. I don't know if y'all heard about it, but Miss Erykah Badu is dropping a new album, and I'm so excited. All right, so let me stop yapping. Y'all know what y'all came here for. Real Housewives of Atlanta. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into it. If you're new to my channel, hey, how you doing? Appreciate you for tuning in. Go ahead and make sure you drop a like in the collection plate. All right, you come over here to this service, I'm gonna need you to drop a like in the collection plate. Let me know that you stopped by. All right, drop down the comments. Everybody who's already part of the Juice Box crew, do your girl a favor, please hit that like button. Okay, it does your girls wonders in the algorithm. All right. And then it gets everybody else to come over to your girl's channel. I'm trying to grow the Juice Box crew to 4,000. I've been stuck on 3.5K for a hot minute now. So yeah, we need to get the likes going, okay? But Real Housewives of Atlanta, let's get into it. We open up with Miss Brittany. Okay, it's Brittany, bitch. All right. So Miss Brittany, I guess, has her husband's family over. And they're, having a little shindig or whatever. And we meet like his sister, I guess, who she's kind of garnered a really good relationship with. But she's telling his sister basically about what it's been like, the girls and everything. And she was like, yeah, so far so good. But I'm not going to lie, Kenya, I was feeling a little bit of, shade from her. Brittany is making this thing with Kenya happen, whether we like it or not. She has got her sights set on Kenya. And I'm hoping in this situation, she doesn't allow maybe producers, because producers do sometimes F up in making the new girls feel like they have to have a moment with the girl that is the known, shark in the water, which everybody knows Kenya ain't had a good tussle with somebody in a minute. So I feel like they're trying to get that old Kenya, and so Brittany's being used to initiate it. And oh Lord, did she initiate Kenya all right? Because next week is her opening, and that's clearly when everything starts going downhill. But she's like, but I can handle her. Like, I grew up with sisters. Shoot, it ain't nothing. We went to the party. Definitely got a little bit lit, but I'm not worried about her. Right, babe? And he was like, shoot, this food show is good. He wasn't trying to get into it, So then they start, the sister starts asking about, what's next for them, how they've been doing. Obviously, he's like, he wants a kid, and he's thinking, as soon as possible. But then she's like, okay, but, what about the ceremony reception or whatever? And old dude was like, well, we don't need to talk about that right now. I ain't even got my scallops yet. And I was kind of thinking, like, he's one of those dudes that jokes so much that he doesn't know when to have a serious conversation. And that can only work in a relationship, but so long. It just really can't. And speaking of, we get Brittany in the confessional talking about this relationship with old dude, and she was like, I picked him because he was giving real, husband material. I've been that girl since high school. I get it, girl. You started out real early, being in the magazines and all the type of stuff. But I'm gonna need you to drop the word high school out of your vocabulary when explaining, your celebrity. Okay, it just doesn't compute right in the brain when you hear I've been popping since high school in all the magazines, all the men's magazines, because it just gives creep. Because everybody knows in high school, girl, did you start at 17 and then became legal? And then you where they try to ignore you being a little bit under, okay, or where you actually turned 18 and then so this is where Brittany, you might want to watch what she's saying. But then we kind of found out, y'all, Brittany was over at Mr. Ricky Rose. Okay, where's Tia Kemp at? All right, now that we know that she had a little taste of Ricky Rose, where's Tia Kemp at? So she can get an ass when she called Rick Ross, you fat, funky bitch. All right. Yeah, that was very interesting. But she, she's like, I'm on to bigger and better things. So the sister and her go downstairs, they drinking, and the sister just checking in on her. So we find out, the reason that she's super in the family or whatever, like her dad, worked for a mortgage company, and as somebody who previously worked in life insurance, it's a trip, okay? And the fact that he was in between jobs and passed away and lost his life insurance, madness. And these jobs really will do that. They'll change your policy on you without even knowing. That's why it's good to have your own policy outside of work. A whole bunch of stuff. And so the GoFundMe and fish plates is definitely not the way to go. So y'all get life insurance for real. But this has also caused a rift with her sisters. She and her sisters, I guess it was a family business when she opened it, but they kind of started clashing because I'm sure with her being in charge, she said that she was super hard. My sister said that I was super hard on them. So one sister, she went her way, but then the other one, after I sold the business, she got real comfortable and I couldn't have that. So yeah, she hasn't talked to her sisters in a hot minute. So maybe we'll see that, kind of come back around on the show. But next, moving on, we're going to get into Porsha and Miss Kelli, y'all. So Porsha and Kelli finally have a sit down, I guess you could say, ever since Kelli basically was like, let's put it on the flow, okay? We ain't finna play this game, but everybody tiptoeing around, Porsha coming back and not wanting to bring it up. And, she want to act like the shit didn't exist and didn't happen. So we all just supposed to not bring it up for the sake of, not being messy or petty or whatever. No. So Kelli got the shit started, all right? And so Porsha's like, you know what, Kelli? I just find it real interesting. She's saying all these things about me, so, and not even knowing me. So, now's a chance to get to know her. When that girl ordered a Hennessy margarita, shout out to Rodney. She ran out with a husband and a Hennessy. Had the Hennessy. I ain't never heard of no Hennessy margarita. I ain't never seen nobody get no Hennessy margarita. Although I'm a drinker, I'm more of a tequila vodka type gal. I usually don't do the brown liquor. But yeah, Kelli shows up and it's a little awkward. It's a little, tense. And Porsha's just asking questions and Kelli's like, right. She's like, you want a drink? She was like, no, I don't, I'm not going to drink. So Porsha's like, okay. Clearly the energy, isn't super friendly at the moment. So Porsha basically gets into it, was like, look, girl, I'm trying to figure out what's going on because, I want to get to know you. But, I'm getting all different types of personalities from you because the way that we met, it was giving real coming in hot. And Kelli was like, well, I just was having questions, and I was talking to Shamea about it previously, and she told me, to come to you with all questions and concerns. And so Porsha's like, oh, Shamea told you to come at me? And in the confessional, Porsha's making it seem like, I guess, more of oh, why would Shamea tell her to confront me, ambush me like that? That's not cool. Because at the party, Porsha showed up last, and everybody was sitting down on the couch and having a conversation. So she kind of walked into it. But at the end of the day, when you look back at it, Shamea basically sat down with Kelli individually and just was like, look, I know you saying all these things. And, Kelli's letting her low, girl, when I talked to her, I basically was just asking her, how how she gonna say how she gonna take that man from that woman, you know? Of course, Porsha wants to pull the, everybody don't know the story, everything out there ain't true. Okay, girl. Okay, Porsha. And so, Porsha in her mind is kind of thinking like, well, dang, I don't think Shamea would do that to be, negative or messy, but, I wonder why she sent Kelli to come talk my way. And I'm sure it was like, first of all, one, Shamea is tired of having to defend your ass. And two, Kelli, if she's going to address you taking that woman's husband, why not talk to you straight on, But at the end of the conversation, they really just kind of kikied with each other, really just kind of acknowledged, what it was. But Porsha clearly is doing her damnedest to try to smooth this over with Kelli, and she's playing the offense game of, I'm gonna be cool with Kelli so she can get up off my back. It's given, let me find a way to be super friendly and pull the Porsha, bubbles out, and kiki with this girl, let's drink together, slap eyes, and, maybe this will back her up off me. It's better to make her a friend than an enemy in this moment, because clearly she's a bitch who ain't afraid, to get into the mess, okay? So I'm gonna just do my best in just like being cool with her, so I don't have to worry about her constantly being on my ass about this about this Fallon, Simon, divorce, all that type of mess. So at the end of the conversation, they really just kind of, especially with her being invited to the Balmain event that Kelli had, I guess Porsha definitely, you could tell, in my opinion, she's like, it's better to be friends than enemies at this moment, because clearly she admit you ain't got no problem saying shit or calling me out, and I ain't trying to deal with that all season. So let me just try to, befriend her, okay? So after that, we see a scene with Shamea and her sisters. Y'all know Shamea has been dealing with a lot of issues with, her children's health and just her health. And, we see Shamea give just a real vulnerable moment, because she's like, a lot of times I am there for other people and I will put myself on the back burner. I will forget about all my issues to be there for somebody else. I'm sure that's probably how her and Porsha's friendship been like that a lot of the times. But, she discussed what's going on with the sisters, with the daughters, and how her sisters have been there for her. It just was a really good moment to see Shamea just be vulnerable, because we do want these vulnerable moments, from the housewives. It's not always, we love the glitz and the glam, but we also do view the show for vulnerability and stuff that's relatable. And what Shamea is going through is very much relatable. Girl, 7 rounds of IVF. 7, y'all. I don't think y'all really like 7. And having to shoot yourself in the stomach every damn day, 4 times, like in the morning and the afternoon. And when I was in the hospital after my car accident, I had to be on blood thinners. So every day I was getting shots in my stomach. And it's like every day, that annoyed me just doing that one time in the morning every day. So I can imagine taking 4 shots. Oh, man. But, she had a situation with Shy and then Shiloh. And so this next situation with the surrogate, she's really just, worried about the whole process and everything. And so also as well, they're having to take one of the daughters to the doctor to go check on her or something like that. So, Shamea is just really letting everybody into her life in a super vulnerable way. So what happened next? Angie, Miss Old Oak Tree, all right? Miss Oak Tree, Smoky Oak, all right? So she goes to one of her, I guess, properties that she's renovating. It looks really nice. Charles showed up, and he just gives that old ass man that is so set in his ways. Like, literally the term all I can think of right now is can't teach an old dog new tricks. He just gives me, he will give you a headache, because he just is who he is. He's the asshole. Like, that's the long and short end of it. Charles Oakley is an asshole, okay? And it's been his career entertainment for most people. So much so that the people at Madison Square Garden, the owner, kicked his ass out. And that was a real tough time for Angela and him, because is it Angela or Angie? One or the other. She said that was a very tough time for them in their relationship, because she was first married to him. So you're first, she's like, you being newly married to him and having to deal with all of that And she was like, you know, it really was a tough time. Like, we had to live separate because, you know, he needed healing and I wasn't the one that was going to be able to heal him. And I said, ooh, as a woman struggles all the time, it is women trying to heal the men, make them feel better, you know, do everything they can. And the healing on these Negroes is on nobody else but them. And it's real crazy that to this day, how dudes constantly complain about nobody cares about them. Nobody wants, you know, nobody cares about their feelings and all that bullshit. Okay. No, y'all absolutely have women in y'all lives that do care about y'all, that are good women. Y'all don't fucked over all the good women. That's why ain't no good women left. Y'all don't fucked over all the good ones, first of all. Secondly, you know, y'all's having issues, emotional, you know, vulnerability that y'all feel like y'all don't have. That's on y'all not creating community with each other. And then lastly, y'all refuse to go to therapy. Like, y'all refuse to do it. Okay? Sorry, I just went off on a rant. Because, like, at the end of the day, like, you said, with her saying, like, you know, he needed healing and I couldn't be the one to heal him. Like, I could imagine he was just as much a son of a bitch to her after that situation. Just off GP of being kicked out and all that type of stuff like that. But, in the house, you know, they basically just talking about everything. Renovating 5 houses at the same time is crazy work, okay? Especially in this market, it is crazy work. But she said that he's helped invest in, you know, her real estate journey, and so she feels like she just really has to, you know, show up so she can prove to him that, you know, this is, I guess, an endeavor for her or whatever. But one of the other endeavors is them renewing their vows. But he's kind of like, yeah, you know, we'll get to it because they got all these houses to do, which means jack shit to me because rent, like, okay, yeah, the money and renovating your houses and everything, that's a lot. But a renewal, it doesn't have to be all that. Like, it doesn't have to be, you know, 20s and 50s of $1,000, unless, you know, that's what Angie is wanting. Then I can maybe understand, hey, let's sell one of these houses and get a little profit first, maybe. But Charles don't look like that type of nigga. Charles look like he's just, like, as she said, he's holding it over his head because he don't want to do it. So it's like, yeah, I can hold it over her head. Like, let's get done with these first, and then we'll talk about it, you know? And you could tell, unfortunately, Angie does a lot of holding her tongue when it comes to him. And I'm sure that's why they had to go to therapy, because, like, she is looking for him to be somebody that he's not. And he's sitting there talking about, oh, you know, damn, that $3,000 a month. You know, she's like, it ain't even that much. And she's like, because, you know, I love Wendy. And Wendy, I guess, is her therapist. And she's like, it really is good for us to go. And he's just rolling his eyes. And it literally just frustrated me because it's like, this is the problem with you Negroes. Like, y'all want women in your lives, but y'all don't want to work with them. Y'all don't want to do the work in a relationship, and y'all don't want to do the work solo. So it's just kind of like, ugh, it annoyed the hell out of me. But moving on, what else? Oh, Porsha, y'all. Porsha, long story short, she went over to talk to Diane, basically about her marriage and the divorce and how hard it's been, and, you know, the divorce with Cordell was so much easier. But this time, you know, it's so much harder because I can't talk to him, and, you know, he's doing everything he can. Obviously, on social media, we knew Simon was dragging Porsha literally by the roots of her weave, okay? Was swinging her every which way but loose on social media. And she's having to deal with all that and the stresses of the divorce. And then she mentions, you know, in their culture, they actually have some type of form, something where they basically ask the family, you know, to be helpful during the divorce process or whatever. And she was like, they basically told me, like, let the courts handle it. Like, let it fall where it do. And so Porsha felt really hurt by that. And it's like, bitch, don't you know his family is never your family? Never. Especially when they're rich. Point blank, period. So when she said that, I was like, bitch, what did you expect? And at that, you weren't even with him that long. Madness. So Drew. So y'all, Drew, oh no, the mama too, Miss Diane, she basically, Porsha told her about sitting down with Kelli and how, you know, she told her that Shamea came to her, basically was telling her all the stuff that, you know, the ladies were saying. And so the mama was like, you know, if there's anybody you definitely need to be careful of, is be careful of the dog that's bringing you the bone. I said, no, Miss Diane trying to shoot the messenger. No, you got the wrong one, miss. Like, yeah, if she's her friend, why is she not telling her what these bitches are saying about her? Because Shamea definitely has been doing her damnedest and standing up for Porsha almost too damn much, okay? Literally. So, and I'm gonna tell my friend what these hoes are saying about her, so when she come around, like, she ain't out the loop, because then it's gonna be even worse when Porsha does, like, if I were to say nothing to her, and she found out that I was listening to the girls and not telling her nothing. Like, what? But I just found that very peculiar that that's where Miss Diane was at. She was like, I know y'all been friends, you know, since high school or whatever. So I was just like, oh, here go the breakdown. Who the hell is pulling up at my goddamn house? Oh, I think that's my dad. Yeah, so we move on to Drew in the studio. Speaking of Porsha, y'all can say what you want. Drew is all dramatic. She is extra. She is a liar, okay? But bitch got vocals, and that Love in a Minute or whatever that song was actually sounded really good. I've never doubted Drew's singing capability or music capabilities or whatever. And so I really actually do hope that this takes off for her, especially with hearing the shit that's going on with Ralph, which we'll get into in a second. So she has Cynthia, Angie, and Kenya come to the studio, right? And, you know, they come in, they hear the song, you know, they put the name of the song up with Dennis, you know, as the production name at the bottom. I said, okay. I was like, this is what they was wanting, right? They was wanting Dennis and Drew to have their moment of filming together, and Porsha is not happy, okay? But Kenya gets right into it. She basically was like, you know, girl, this is nice and cute and everything, but you know, what's going on with Dennis? And Drew's like, what you mean? Drew was like, first of all, do you guys need anything to drink? You know, champagne, tea, anything? And Cynthia's like, well, I'll take some champagne. And Kenya's like, bitch, nah. You heard the question I was asking. Like, don't be trying to change the subject. So Drew takes a sip of her tea, you know. And she basically starts talking to them about how obviously Dennis, you know, has been helping her with the music. You know, he has funded everything. And Kenya basically just telling her, like, so what's going on with y'all? Because long story short, they trying to say that you out here looking like a whore. Then Cynthia said, not whore. You know, whore is like an old school type of way of calling. She said, you know, dang, you know, a hoe? Cool. But a whore? Okay. She gave Drew, like, girl, you acting out here like you a slut from the 90s. Okay.
You ain't saying from the 90s. Talking about.
Okay. She basically was like, damn, like, whore, all right. And she's like, that's not what's happening. Like, there's nothing going on between me and Dennis. Like, I barely talk to that man. We usually text. And they did a playback, you know, production. They love the flashbacks. Hey, bro, what's up? And it's like, damn, Drew, why you guys be lying about some stuff that you ain't gonna be lying about? So, sorry, y'all. I'll be looking at my window just for security. Okay. Yeah, Drew basically was just kind of like, you know, that he's really just been helpful. But Kenya lets her know, I ain't gonna, Kenya was just straight up like, girl, I like you and everything, but, you know, you ain't no victim, because Drew is basically like, you know, I've always been in this group, you know, being attacked and, you know, piled up on. And Kenya's like, you know, I ain't finna let you play no victim. Like, Drew, you should have told her. And Cynthia basically co-signed, because she was like, look, when Kenya wanted Leon in her music video or whatever, she came to me just as like a courtesy. And Drew was like, bitch, I'm trying to tell y'all, I did try to give Porsha the courtesy. She's like, I got text message to prove it. Like, hey girl, need to talk to you. Hey girl, when's the next time you know you in? Hey girl, can we sit down? But here's what I think happened. I think Porsha knew, because Dennis gave her some type of, you know, heads up. Because who do y'all think needs to tell Porsha more, Dennis or Drew? Because I feel like low-key Dennis is more obligated to tell Porsha than Drew is. But I personally think Porsha was being, a trickster in this situation. I think she was holding off on talking to Drew to use it as a moment to have her filming. Because obviously the divorce and everything, with that shit happening, Porsha has lost a lot of her storyline, basically. And so I think she purposely was putting Drew on ice so she had something to come into the season, be upset with, or, had a reason to be upset, or had actual stuff to film for. That's just my personal opinion. I think Porsha was just playing the long game. Yeah, so then speaking of, Angie speaks up because she was like, when Drew was like, with Shamea, the way she came at me was so crazy. And Angie basically was like, yeah, me and her kind of got into it. Because I asked her about it, like, girl, why are you basically Porsha's, spokesperson? And she's like, we got into it and everything. So at this point, hopefully the next time I see her, we'll be cool. And that's obviously not what happened. We saw later on. So Drew, y'all, she went to the lawyer, and here we go, learning a lot more information about Ralph in the basement. Ralph in the basement, in this situation with the divorce, Drew is dealing with the same thing that Tiana's dealing with. Going from having the files sealed to them just being out in the open. And, the lawyer is basically telling her, like, yeah, we got a bunch of papers from Ralph, but all these papers was your information. Like was your finances. So he just gave us a whole bunch of stuff basically to waste time. And two, your financial situation, he talking about he can't move out because he don't got enough funds to move out. Which is what we know these niggas do all the time. Every time it comes time to pay for stuff, start child support and covering the children, now all of a sudden you niggas is broke. It's the same old story. So she's like, we can't really move forward until he gives his finances. Then also, like the lawyer said, with how he's acting during this divorce, is proving just how much of a freaking Allison, Drew's sister, was right about Ralph. That's why he shunned her from that house for 2 years, because she knew the type of thing that he was. Because the fact that Ralph showed up with no lawyer and himself was doing the proceedings and was doing the questioning like he was a lawyer. What? Why are you the one in court asking? Like, come on now. It's giving narcissistic a schmooze. I think a lot of people don't talk about those type of relationships as much as they want to talk about physical, abusive relationships. A lot of women realize they are in narcissistic NA relationships because it's such a invisible thing. There's no physical bruises, but the mental and emotional toll that somebody like Ralph, we saw his shenanigans. Tampa didn't want to explain nothing. The security cams didn't want to explain nothing. He get asked questions. He don't know how to answer them straight. Like in divorce, in the therapy, he ain't want to talk, give all the information. Like, we see who Ralph is. Just like Allison see, nigga, we see. So Ralph in the basement, are you really finna spend the rest of your life in the basement because you don't want to get out? Bum. Disgust. So she was just like, I'm just so worried about my kids, because at the end of the day, like, once all this stuff comes out, of all people it's gonna affect is the kids, truth be told. Finding out that he, was tracking her. She had bitches hitting her phone up. She found him sexting other girls. Like, we knew Ralph was on some BS when he talked about, I needed to get away, go to a beach, and he was all the way in Florida. And she like, bitch, it's beaches everywhere, and you choose to go all the way to Tampa for 3 days and it ain't reach out to nobody? Come on now. Stop it. But yeah, Drew's just crying because she's like, damn, like, here we go. And then, she leaves. So last but not least, we get into the Balmain event, and it's cute. It's a mommy and me situation. All the girls show up. All the girls showed them in damn flower petal dresses. And Shamea showed up, obviously. So who was the first to interact? I think it was like Cynthia and Angie. Everybody just kind of really like talking. Cynthia is, kind of going around doing the schmoozing of trying to ask the girls, like, okay, who are you talking to? Because Angie asked Cynthia, should I talk to Shamea, whatever. And I think it definitely was a moment of like, do I need to address her now? Is this the event to do it? Kelli gives a very beautiful speech, about her daughters having brittle bone syndrome. Damn, CPS tried to take them from her because they thought she was, beating up on her kids. Crazy. Yeah, it was a very heartfelt story. But when they're saying hi to everybody, Angie tried to say, hey, Shamea, I know this, we didn't get off on a good foot. I was thinking maybe we could go out and, try to smooth things over. And Shamea's like, yeah, because we did not get off on a good foot, And she was like, right. And she was like, I just really kind of felt like, how did she say it? She was like, I really just kind of felt like, you were being Porsha's mouthpiece or whatever. And Angie clocked it. She was like, Shamea's doing all the work and Porsha just showed up for a check. I said, ooh. So then they start getting into it down there. And Shamea started hitting her with the cause she was like, oh, I just felt some way about you being no, she was like, yeah, cause she was like, yeah, Drew's representative. And she was like, well, then you Porsha's assistant. And she was like, girl, stop it. You need to get away from me with that 99 nose. And so Angie hit back, okay, bitch, Flavor Flav. And then so Shamea hit her with the to the 99 and 2000s. And so she was like, okay, mean girl. She was like, no, you're the mean girl. She's like, no, you're Shamina. And she was like, Shamea. She said, Shamina. I said, this episode for me was when I realized Angie was the dark horse, okay? She did not back down, and she had, the comebacks. And so she was like, girl, of all the noses that you picked that one. And she was like, well, with your nose, you gonna get your nose out of Porsha's ass? I was like, oh. I said, when I said that was a good little cute little tussle between the two of them. That's why I was like, yes, Angie is the dark horse in this situation. So now Porsha's over there. They're like, girl, why you talking about that girl's nose? And she over there talking about, she's like, is it petty? Yes, but that bitch was mean to me. So, it is what it is, and so she was like, oh, she want to talk about me being Flavor Flav for Halloween, bitch. At least I didn't show up today looking like Toya Jackson. I said, God damn. Everyone said, not the Jacksons. So then, basically after that, Drew's there, and y'all, Drew comes to Porsha. And she basically was like, hey, Porsha, I think, we should talk. We should talk right now. And Porsha's like, I'm kind of sick. Maybe let's talk next week. And Drew was like, well, why can't we talk now? It's because she's like, I'm confused because, like, you messaged me talking about, like, girl, let's talk. And then Porsha in confession was like, oh, all of a sudden Drew's coming up to me with the energy of like, we got to talk now. She was like, the audacity. And then I turned around and looked and saw audacity with braids. And it's Allison. And Allison don't play, And she was like, not doing it. We ain't finna have no tag team, no 2-on-1 with me. Nope, not doing it. Do I think Allison would have got involved? Hell yeah. Would I want to see it? Hell yeah. Porsha is not, she is avoiding everybody getting in her ass at all costs. And so the fact that you have been avoiding this conversation with Drew is so weird because why won't you address it? But also when it comes to Porsha, I don't like how she pulled that shit with Dennis, try to guilt him. What you do will be, depend on what Mark's going on with Pilar. I was like, don't try to guilt that nigga with his child. I did not like that. But that's kind of where the episode ended with Drew and Porsha. So y'all drop down in the comments, let me know how you've been feeling about the season so far. To me, this actually was the most entertaining episode. Do you guys feel like Porsha, is trying to befriend Kelli so she back up off of her ass? What do you guys think about Angie, as the addition because people at first wasn't digging her? Do you guys feel like Drew you know, has been genuinely trying to reach out, and Porsha's just been putting her on ice. And yeah, I really think that's it. Is that it? Yeah. Follow my Instagram and Twitter, you guys. I'll catch y'all hoes later. Deuces.